But before we get to these three foundations, or these three statements, I want to lay a theological foundation, because these three statements are made after Solomon has this amazing encounter with God. The entire nation of Israel just witnessed the real presence of God. The real presence of God. They've seen the cloud with their eyes. They've felt the weight of the glory of God on their bodies. It's about as real as you can get. And it's from this encounter that Solomon makes these three statements. Something I want to say about the Bible. The Bible is not a book of doctrine as we define doctrine. That's a big word today. There's a lot of churches that are really saying it. I hear a lot of preachers saying it, especially young preachers. They're saying, the Bible is doctrine. You got to learn about doctrine. It's all about doctrine. But their definition of doctrine is not God's definition of doctrine. You see, the biblical definition of doctrine is the understanding of God's actions. It's understanding what God does, how he does it, and why he does it. Paul cursed a man with blindness in the book of Acts. And it said that they were amazed at his doctrine. Imagine that. There was a guy causing problems, harassing people, and Paul walks up to him and says, "You're blind." And they're like, "Whoa, that's amazing doctrine. That's a good Bible study." See, we don't define doctrine like that. It wasn't a teaching, it was a teaching demonstrated by God's power that revealed his character and his nature. Most people define doctrine, or let me just give you Webster's dictionary definition of doctrine. A doctrine is a set of beliefs or a system of beliefs. It's what you believe. Another word for doctrine is dogma. Dogma is a long-established body of doctrines concerning faith or morals formally stated and authoritatively proclaimed. And so, people get together, they talk about it, and they decide this is what we believe, these are our doctrines, and then they authoritatively proclaim it to everybody in the world. And if you're part of the club, if you're one of us, then you're going to believe what we believe. And if you don't believe what we believe, then you're a heretic, right? And then you have sword battles, with the Bible. The Bible's the sword, and so they start fighting each other with the Bible over what they believe, their system of beliefs. But the religious view, that's a religious view of doctrine. The religious view of doctrine doesn't include an encounter with God. It doesn't include the real presence of God. And so doctrine really becomes man's attempt to intellectually understand God, put God in a box so that I can comprehend God. The problem is that God is incomprehensible. He can't be understood by man. It's beyond our capacity to understand God. If it was within our capacity to understand God, then we would be God. God could not be God, right? If I can understand God, he's not God. That's why in Isaiah it says, his ways are beyond my ways. His thoughts are beyond my thoughts. It's past my ability to find out. I don't have the capacity to understand God or who he is. And so whatever system of belief I come up with will be one-dimensional at best. It'll just be my slice of the pie. And that's why we have so many denominations. That's why there are so many religions, because everybody has a different slice of the pie. And they all say that their slice of the pie is right. But the Bible is not a book of doctrines. It's a book of encounter. It's an encounter with the one true, living, triune God. The word that is used in the text is the Hashem Adonai Eloheinu. The Hashem, the God who makes covenant. Adonai, the God of unlimited power. Eloheinu, the God who created the heavens and the earth. The one who makes a covenant with man, a covenant of love with man, and keeps his covenant, keeps his word. And so the Bible doesn't tell you the right things to believe. It tells you the right person to believe in. The right person to believe. And if you believe in the right person, that person is going to tell you the right things to believe in. And that person is Jesus Christ. That's why Jesus said, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. He didn't say, I am a way or a truth or a life. And there's many different ones, but I'm the best one. He said, I'm the only one. I'm the only one that's going to tell you what is truth. And that's why when I argue with people about truth and they're like to get into these esoteric philosophical arguments about truth, I just go, truth is not an idea. And it's not a battle of ideas. It's not which idea wins overall, and that's the truth. That's the standard definition of truth. Truth is a person. And that person says what is true. And that's Jesus Christ. Well, what gives him the right to say what's true? Because he created everything. All the laws that you argue about, he made. All the opinions, everything, your brain, he made that too. So he has a right to say what is true and what is false. And he speaks to us through his word, and his glory fills us, those of us who are born again. His presence fills us. And this is really the failure of all religions. Religions tell you what to believe. And there are volumes of books that tell you what to believe. This is the right way to believe. And if you believe the right things, then you get to join the club. And if you're part of the club, then you get to go to heaven or whatever your concept of the afterlife is, whatever religion it is. You get to go get a planet. You get to have 70 virgins. You get to, you get to have unlimited power, whatever it is. You get to come back as a higher level of being. Whatever the concept of religion is. And if you don't, then there's a punishment. You go to hell. You go to a place of non-existence. That's what the Buddhists believe. What a horrible way to live. We were witnessing to a Buddhist gentleman who saw us praying at our men's prayer. And so I was curious, like, what do you believe? Like, what do you believe? I mean, what happens to you after you die? He goes, well, we're like the waves of the ocean. We just kind of come up and we crest and then we crash back into the ocean, into non-existence. I'm like, what a horrible, sad way to live. Unless you're a Hindu, then you just come back and try it again. Like Groundhog Day. Eventually you'll get it right. Horrible way to live. The religions of man. And all of it's based on what you know. Knowing the right things. I mean, in Buddhism alone, there's 200,000 pages of books that tell you what to know. In Hinduism, there's hundreds of books to tell you what to know. You got to read them all. In Mormonism, there's 3 books that they call the scriptures, not just one. That's why when someone says, hey, I read the scriptures today, I'm a Mormon, I'm just like you. It's like, which scripture did you read? Because they like to add to the scriptures. Even in Islam, there's 4 major texts that you have to memorize and know. And yet, if you take all the teachings of Jesus, you can fit them in a little booklet that big. And yet Jesus changed the world. Why? Because he wasn't telling you what to believe. He was telling you who to believe. And if you believe in Jesus, that changes everything. Religions are based on what you know. Christianity is based on who you know. And at the end of the age, when Jesus judges all the people of the earth, he isn't going to look at them and say, "Depart from me because you read the wrong books." He's not going to say, "Depart from me because you believe the wrong things." He's going to say, "Depart from me, for I never knew you." I don't know you. You see, it's a relational thing. It's a relationship thing. And so it becomes my passion, my life's desire. Like Paul says, I count all things lost in view of the surpassing greatness of knowing Jesus. It becomes about knowing him. And if it is really about knowing him, would it change how you live? It's so important right now, especially in our culture. I talk to so many people that they're going through what is called deconstructionism. It's a big word, buzzword right now. And basically, what deconstructionism is in a nutshell, it's mostly amongst young people. And basically, it was young people who were told what to believe in. This is what you have to believe to be a Christian. And so they believed, right? You grow up, you don't fight it, you believe it. And then one day they discovered it didn't help them with their anxiety. It didn't help them with their depression. It didn't help them, it didn't liberate them in any way. It didn't bring any blessing into their life like they were promised. It didn't keep their marriages together or anybody else's marriages together. It didn't keep them from doubt. It didn't keep them from anything. And so they came to the conclusion, I've been lied to. This does not work. And so they said, I quit. I can't believe in God anymore. Which really is a moronic statement, to be honest with you. To say there is no God. The fool says there's no God. You can't escape God. Anywhere you look in creation, you can't look at everything that's happened. Even the most hardcore scientist who does not believe in God admits, and I've got the documentation, they admit that the universe was created by a divine intelligence of some sort. They won't call it God. They won't acknowledge it as God, but they all exist. There's no way the universe could exist happenstance. That's long been disproven amongst hardcore scientists. So it's just a foolish thing to say there is no God. And so the answer isn't to replace one set of beliefs with another set of beliefs. The answer is to introduce people to the real God of the Bible. The God who is, who was, who is to come, the one who is the existent one, the one who really does keep his word, his promises. And that means that you and I need to know the God of the Bible. We need to know Jesus.